Good evening and welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, David Symington. Everyone knows that Alibaba is the king of China's e-commerce companies and one of the biggest in the world. Well, if you wanted to challenge a market leader that size, how would you do it? Well, that's what rising competitor Tencent has been asking itself, and it may have found the answer. Get to potential customers in a way the big guys can't. In this case, go mobile. Go big mobile.
As China's online population grows, the use of mobile devices has proliferated with it. As of October last year, China had 874 million mobile users, and that number is going nowhere but up. Tencent's not-so-secret weapon is that every mobile user can also be a mobile shopper, and Tencent has 438 million of them. Its messaging app, Wechat, is the most popular mobile app in China, and that's how Tencent is hoping to win the mobile commerce battle with Alibaba. Here's how it works. The founder of Chinese education firm New Oriental Education and Technology Group, Yu Minhong, is used to being in the spotlight, not only as an educator, but also as an investor. Yu has just partnered with Sheng Xitai, former chairman of Huatai United Securities, to raise 200 billion RMB for an angel investment fund. And guess what was their investment? E-commerce shops that promote on Wechat.
我们现在几百个商品上传到我们的大微店的后台商品库里面去，那这些妈妈们呢，她就可以选择这些商品一键添加到她的店铺里面去，然后通过自媒体的平台来推广他们的商品。那别人通过这个阅读原文就可以跑到他的店里面去。
China now has dozens of companies helping people set up commerce sites on WeChat. We met the angel investor of Davi Dian, Sheng Xitai, in Beijing. He explains to us the reason he and his partner Yu Minhong decided to invest in mobile shopping.
中国到这个阶段，很多人经济上没问题了，很多家庭财务自由之后呢，很多妈妈是居家的，尤其全职妈妈，她需要价值成就感和实现感，她想做点事情，那么包括她希望做一些生意啊，包括妈妈一个习惯，就是她希望她用的好的东西推荐给别人，这些东西谁来给她提供后台服务，让她做生意做得更简单，那么一定是一个很大的风口啊，因为这个市场空间很大很大。
The company Mr. Sheng invested in now supports 100,000 online merchants, all of them on WeChat. Since everyone you know on WeChat is a friend of yours, that means those 100,000 people are selling to their friends. It's a good business plan.
中国的最强的关系其实都在微信里边，就是你的朋友、同学都在里边，然后这种强关系，它的信任感其实是非常强的。那这种微信这种交易又带来了一定的便利性，那这种交易是非常快速的可以发展起来。
That all sounds great for Tencent. The problem is that in e-commerce they're going up against Alibaba, which accounted for 86% of China's total mobile gross merchandise volume in the second quarter of 2014, despite having less than half of Tencent's mobile subscribers.
As China's most profitable internet company, Tencent rakes in over 220 million RMB a day. Its sore point, however, has always been e-commerce. For the third quarter of 2014, Tencent's total revenue grew 28% from a year ago. Its e-commerce income, however, bled money. Revenue was down 81% from a year ago and contributed only 2% of Tencent's total revenue. But the company has never given up trying on e-commerce. As early as in 2006, Tencent had introduced PaiPai, a C2C platform similar to Alibaba's Taobao marketplace. Later, it launched shop.qq.com and buy.qq.com and invested in several e-commerce sites, including 51buy.com and gaopeng.com. All of these, however, operate independently and have never been integrated into a single sales system.
腾讯它是家互联网公司，甚至说是一家产品经理公司，它不是一家做零售的公司，它不懂，它不懂的东西，所以说它现在它的整个策略会变成说，我作为一个大的开放平台，我会把不同业态的这些做得更专业的人进来，京东是做零售、做配送很强的人进来， 有人做这种生活服务的很强的，比如餐饮里面，比如大众点评你进来，这种周边照片什么之类的，58同城你进来，做比如说酒店的乐居，他投资你进来。
But despite all these efforts, Alibaba still leads the way. So this time around, Tencent is taking on Alibaba where Tencent is strongest, mobile, counting on its very extensive social network. In order to gain market share as quickly as possible, Tencent is saying yes to different types of third-party microshop operators like Davidian. Third-party microshop operators are required to sign up with Tencent after reviews of their business license and business scope.
目前腾讯是欢迎大家进入它这个生态圈，然后因为其实也很明显，阿里在PC 时代的电商走得比较远，但是腾讯呢一直在电商这一块是弱项，所以包括他自己做拍拍，包括他入股那个京东，都是想弥补他自己在电商的一个弱势。所以他其实现在是鼓励这些微商平台、这些平台在微信里边这个生态圈里边去发展的。
E-commerce analyst Lu Zhenwang analyzes the strategy this way.
这个腾讯现在还是一个开放性的一个心态，他不会所有的事情都会自己做，因为假如第三方帮他做的话，是会帮他去争取客户的，帮他去发展这个客户的。那这样的话，其实客户的这种培训，包括这些宣传，其实都是让第三方去做了，他自己都不用做了，他自己可以专心的就把这个接口给做好。
Currently, Tencent is only charging third-party platforms like Davidian a 1% commission if the shop payments are also handled through Wechat. Money is not the priority. Market share is.
So it sounds like Tencent has a good plan, giving permission to third-party operators in exchange for customer flow. But ultimately, the question becomes whether or not Tencent can really turn its users to buyers. There are different types of microshop on Wechat. Some are working well, but experts are saying that some of them are doomed. Stay tuned after this.
Hits and clicks. Prime time every weekend. Enjoy the best videos from around the world. Take in creative and popular films you like. Handpicked from a vast collection of film genres. Discover short films in a new way, all on Hits and Clicks. Prime time every weekend.
Dum dum dum, da 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 do dum, da 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 do dum, dum dum dum, da 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 do dum, dum dum dum, da 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 do dum, da 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 do dum, dum dum dum, da 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 do dum。
放心，源自每一位生产者的责任，负责任，做好人。
Bonjour la France.
Here's where the latest
and most pressing issues are put under the spotlight.
Policies are debated.
Voices are heard. Here's where we take you to the story
and the people.
Here is where you'll get a different take on business news
and the news behind the numbers.
Here's where you get a glimpse into the future.
Where the newest innovations meet tomorrow's
challenges and opportunities.
This is where the brightest minds
and biggest names
share their insights. And when it's time for break, we can tell you where to do that too.
Shanghai Live.
Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live
is where the world comes home to you.
Welcome back, and welcome to the second half of our report on the Internet Fight of the Year. Tencent against Alibaba in the struggle for a share of China's e-commerce market. Tencent's messaging app Wechat is nearly ubiquitous on Chinese smartphones and is growing internationally with 438 million users. So, how can Tencent make money off that? Wechat users pay for game apps, invest their money and hail a taxi. And now they can also set up stores to compete with the merchant accounts on Alibaba's Taobao or Tmall. There are 3 ways to do that.
First and foremost are online-offline promotions. Brands can encourage Wechat users to visit a specific location, such as a retail shop, and follow the brand account. The account basically serves as a customer relations management tool, and followers can opt in to find locations of nearby branches and receive discounts, promotions, points, and rewards. This kind of Wechat shop is much more like a mini official website for a brand.
上来讲，它铁业态应该是它开一些官网，比如说 PC 我开一个官网 B2C 的网站，我做一个 App 对移动单独的应用，那实际上它有做，当时存在，但是做不起来，因为我们因为做官网也好，做 APP 也好，它面临一个很高的一个推广的成本费用。第二来讲，用户不喜欢去关注一个这么小网站，因为你讲独立官网，它的整个商品是有限的，对吧？包括 APP 也一样，我下载一个没有必要。那么说我可能是在某个生态里面去做，比如我在微信里面，那微信提供的工具，我在微信里也开个店，它是轻型的那种店铺。
In addition to that, compared with opening an official e-shop on Tmall, WeChat-based online shops charge less in commission fees.
它提供的一些基础设施，它扣的很少，它那支付费率只有6%，那淘宝一样放服饰，它扣到5%甚至到10%之间。对吧？你要做营销费用也很高，而且用户问题是重点在于说，用户不是你的用户，他不是忠诚于你，他忠诚于天猫。
As far as WeChat is concerned, this kind of O2O marketing could be an important edge. It is something Alibaba's Tmall and Taobao do not do, as they have no customer relations to manage. That's up to the individual shops open on Alibaba sites.
As promising as the O2O business may be for Wechat, however, customer-to-customer and business-to-customer sales on Wechat present a much greater challenge. These are things Alibaba's Taobao and Tmall have been doing for a very long time.
Customer-to-customer sales are often called part of the acquaintance economy or the trust economy. On Taobao, trust is established for a user by previous user ratings, user comments, and the shop's position on the website. The latter one is one element of Taobao that is sometimes questioned. Each Taobao shop has a Taobao manager, and there have been suspicions that the managers work internally to adjust the advertising positions of their shops and so show more profits. The higher the sales volume, the higher the salary of the Taobao page manager.
就像双11一样，大家都去找能够产生量的这个品牌到底是什么，而且还是要这些小二都亲自去跟品牌去谈，让这个价格压到最低，因为这个压到最低的话，它产生的这种销售额可能会更大。
As a result, the popular brands will always be popular. By contrast, C2C sales via WeChat use softer criteria, people. Hu Xiaojun runs Peter Pan, a children's wear shop on Changle Road. Hu meets her customers offline. After 1 or 2 offline transactions, she starts encouraging customers to follow her WeChat account, where she alerts the regulars to new products and offers.
我会就是每次去韩国之前拉一个群，然后让大家等于3天2夜都在现场直播，让他们知道我每个月什么时候过去。就是你要知道，在上海说自己是韩国店的人其实蛮多的。那如果只是通过一个你就是他对你本店的认可，远远是不够的。那只是大家就是比较认可我的很大的因素，就是因为我每个月在韩国那边全程是直播，那这就依据在这个微信平台上做的事情，所以说微信这一点是帮助很大的。
Zhou Jiahao is one of Peter Pan's followers on WeChat.
像我们这种比较远的，或者说不太方便的，那过去可能不是很方便，因为有时候可能带小孩去试嘛， 所以有微店的话比较放心，因为沟通起来比较简单。应该说和老板娘之间已经有一种信任或者默契了嘛，所以我们之间买衣服啊，或者是买其他的东西的话，基本上不用去他店里面就可以买到了。
But since C2C sales are based on trust, they can be abused. People are beginning to complain that they're getting the same advertising from several of their friends. Mr. Zhou has more than 300 private contacts on WeChat, about an average number.
我可能会看到过有一些朋友，他其实发的内容差不多，图片也差不多，可能还有些水印也是一样的。那我觉得可能这个是代为转发，或者是类似于朋友圈的一些小传销的这种概念。这个东西我可能会不太会去看，可能会屏蔽掉啊，或者说是就不联系之类的东西。
The problem is this kind of WeChat marketing does nothing but add middlemen to a sale, and so the final price to the end customers tends to be much higher than to the first-tier dealers.
终端这一块还是要解决，就是仅仅靠这个层级代理人去帮你去销售的话，那这样的话其实只是这个传销的一种复制，最终的话还是很难去实现，靠微信去实现这种把这个商业利益扩大。
The last weakness in Tencent's drive to create e-commerce on WeChat is business-to-customer sales, just what Alibaba does on Tmall. WeChat offers business end users the ability to create content and present new products via WeChat service accounts. The issue is that this depends on WeChat users to proactively engage with the brands. And the problem is that users are not as proactive as the brands would like.
整个公众号它的这个粉丝量现在还不是很大，还有一个公众号现在它的打开率其实都是不是很高的，除了逻辑思维它是很大，大家都看一看，但其他很多公众号，尤其是一个企业的公众号的话，打开率只有几个点，那即使是你有10万的粉丝，你可能这个打开率一天只有个3、5千，你做到3、4个点的一个转化率，一天也没有多少单。
Cai Zhenjin set up an underwear shop, Liangmeng Baiyulan, a year and a half ago, and he sells through Alibaba's Tmall and Tencent's WeChat public accounts. The large traffic stream on Tmall helps his shop get a revenue of 3 to 5 million a month, but only a handful of customers place orders on his WeChat account.
大部分的客人呢都喜欢呢，就是说，用这个天猫去购物嘛，淘宝去购物的，所以这个习惯已经养成了。是这样说，这个池子是非常大的。微店呢，它是基于一种社交的一个平台去衍生出来的一个电商的一个。就是移动电商的一个平台，但是它现在的生态呢，在我们店卖家来讲，它还不是很健全，也就是说，它那个电商的基因还不够，就包括它的搜索规则啊，各方面啊都还不健全，包括它的售后啊等等一系列都还不健全的，所以说它是基于呢，目前呢就是说基于那种微信的这种热度，然后去传播，是朋友跟朋友之间的去传播，所以说呢，这个量呢目前还是有限的。
Xiong Minghua was Tencent's chief technology officer for 8 years, and he points out that instead of waiting for customers to find them, those Tencent service accounts should find customers themselves.
现在这个公共账号微店这种模式还是相对比较原始的，也就是说有点像当年的互联网刚开始的时候，雅虎这个公司，它就是叫黄页公司，对吧？它就把所有网站一个个的列在那里，就像我们的图书馆看的那样的，对不对？分类啊这样的。现在微店其实微信的公众号有这样的一个形态，就是说你必须一个个的去找啊。未来其实它应该做得更智能一点，根据我的兴趣爱好也好，根据我的这个以前的使用习惯也好，根据我的地理位置也好，自动的把我跟我相关的公众号相关的东西推送给我。
To try to solve some of these problems, in March last year, Tencent bought 15% of e-commerce firm JD.com, and then added JD.com onto WeChat's shopping channel, right above the game channel. Payments are supported by WeChat Payment, and delivery addresses are automatically added after you link your JD account to your WeChat account. Even that hasn't been working so well, however. According to a report released by JD.com in the third quarter of 2014, the majority of the firm's mobile growth in business-to-consumer sales came from the firm's native app, rather than from Tencent's QQ or WeChat apps.
你要用户通过微信再去找一个电商入口，这个用户他的这个其实门槛是很高的，就是说，因为我们也发现，就是说， 你在软件设计的时候，你把你一个功能埋得很深的话，用户的递减是按数量级的。这也就是说，为什么京东他们可能已经知道说，发现说，哎，从微信导过来的用户其实没有他想象的有那么多。
And even if Tencent does get a WeChat sale, it may not get the money. A sale on Alibaba will go through Alipay, and Alibaba gets its share. But an independent platform on WeChat is not required to pay through Tenpay. If the transaction is diverted to another platform like Davidian, users can choose Tenpay, credit cards, or even Alipay to complete their transactions. Even some of the bigger players on WeChat at the moment are keeping their options open as to how long to stay there. WeChat does have strong social network coverage, of course. But then, almost 2 years ago, Alibaba cemented a number of strategic acquisitions and alliances to enhance its mobile offering, including an 18% stake in Weibo, the Chinese microblogging site with 500 million users.
虽然说微信现在占主导，但是如果说我们把微博、陌陌、唱吧以及其他的一些第三方的这些社会化媒体都用起来，其实他们的用户数加一起也不会比腾讯少。咱们应该把战场分散一些，这是第一个方面。然后第二个方面是说，当我们这些战场达到一定的规模的时候，咱们应该转移到自己的战场上。现在是说我们是借助他们，但是希望有一天他们是希望能主动找我们，让我们把流量带给他们。
Obviously, it's difficult to predict what will be the end of the mobile e-commerce battle. Who will be the winner? Alibaba? Tencent? Or maybe some other newcomers, as Wu Fanghua would certainly wish. For now, Alibaba remains in possession of the field as everyone else circles around and tries to find a way to get a larger slice of a very big pie, or to find another pie altogether. And whatever you think about that, do stay tuned for On Reflection coming up after the break, where we'll be looking at international and domestic experts' opinions on the economic outlook for China in 2015.
Bonjour la France.
Here's where the latest
and most pressing issues are put under the spotlight.
Policies are debated.
Voices are heard. Here's where we take you to the story
and the people.
Here is where you'll get a different take on business news
and the news behind the numbers.
Here's where you get a glimpse into the future.
Where the newest innovations meet tomorrow's
challenges and opportunities.
This is where the brightest minds
and biggest names
share their insights. And when it's time for break, we can tell you where to do that too.
Shanghai Live.
Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live. Shanghai Live
is where the world comes home to you.
Voices, what the country is talking about. News and what people think of it. Clash of opinions.
让原来被掩盖的问题浮现出来。
A fully developed society is when society protects the most vulnerable people.
I'm looking out for my own interests, just like the restaurant is looking out for their own interests.
红包是医患关系的表象，而不是根源。
No matter whose they are, we may not agree, but we do defend to the death your right to say it.
Welcome back to Money Talks and to our first on reflection of the new year. And it's not all happy reflections. We all know that a lot of prices in China are falling, and UBS advisor George Magnus writes in the Financial Times that the country's deflation is beginning to impact the rest of the world as well. China's producer price index has been falling for 33 months, he writes, and the consumer index has fallen from 6% to 1.4% too. In that same time, real interest rates, allowing for producer prices, have risen from 0 to 8%. All these problems, Magnus writes, are structural and of growing significance. And of growing significance for the rest of the world as well. Slower growth in China is affecting commodity producers from Perth to Peru, Magnus says, meaning international producers are being forced to cut prices too. He says, the US Federal Reserve and other Western central banks have failed to anticipate this deflation, and that he's wondering if it's not time for governments to step in to fight deflation. Well, that's already happening right here in China. Well, one thing that's not getting cheaper in China is staff salaries, and a new survey from Hays Recruiting and China's Zhaopin employment website sheds some light on that. It reports that of 1,000 finance professionals surveyed, 71% had been in their current job for 2 years or less, and 69% of the group will be asking for a raise in the next year. And they're planning on asking for raises of 31% or more, so get ready for it. At the same time, however, the report says Chinese employees are increasingly looking for career progression. They want to feel valued, supported, and be offered training and development opportunities so they can seek new challenges with their existing employer, says Hays China Director Simon Lance. More money or more training. If you employ financial professionals, that's your choice. So, how does it all look for 2015? Raphael Halpin at the FT's China Confidential Research Service says it may not be easy, but it probably won't be terrible. Halpin writes, pain was certainly part of China's economy in 2014, much of it, however, self-inflicted by the deleveraging of the shadow banking system, the anti-corruption drive, and more careful consideration of local government spending. All these mean a reform dividend is unlikely in 2015, Halpin says, but he's also convinced the government will not let the economy slide further. He says Beijing will be shifting from policies heavily weighted towards reform to ones more balanced with growth, and notes the government has powerful tools at its disposal to do just that. Beijing now needs to stabilise growth in order to push ahead with reform, Halpin writes. The folks at China Confidential are betting the economy won't stray too far from 7% growth in 2015. We hope so too. And that's Money Talks for this week. If you want to keep in touch with us, do that via email. It's moneytalks@icshanghai.com, or just scan the QR code on your screen and follow us on Wechat. Be sure to tune in next week when our popular light bulb series returns, bringing you the best business ideas in China. But for now, good night.